In this episode, we talk about India's plan to strengthen connectivity to the northeast through a new highway corridor. We also go over the details of Pakistan's drone and missile attacks targeting civilian and religious sites in Punjab. But first, we discuss the arrest of an Ashoka University professor over his alleged comments about officers in the Indian Armed Forces. Hi, I'm Ichha Sharma, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. On Sunday, Ali Khan Mahmudabad, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Political Science at Ashoka University in Sonipat, was arrested by the Haryana police. According to 2 FIRs filed against him, Mahmudabad, a former spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, has been accused of making remarks that disparaged women officers in the Indian Armed Forces and promoted communal disharmony. These remarks refer to a post by Mahmudabad on 8th of May in which he wrote about the media briefing on Operation Sindoor by women officers Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh. Yesterday, the Supreme Court agreed to hear a plea challenging his arrest, and the matter is tentatively scheduled to be heard tomorrow. But now to tell us more about the case against him and the remarks in question, my colleague Shashank Bhargava speaks to the Indian Express's Vidheesha Kuntamala.
Vidheesha, tell us what were the comments that Mahmudabad made and what do we know about the context in which he made them?
So, Ali Khan Mahmudabad is a political science professor from Ashoka University, and he was arrested on Sunday over an alleged media post related to Operation Sindoor and also for a few comments that he has made on May 9th in which he said that the optics of the media briefing on Operation Sindoor by the women officers, Colonel Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, were important but would be hypocrisy if it didn't translate to reality on ground. The key portions of his post said that, I am very happy to see so many right-wing commentators applauding Colonel Qureshi, but perhaps they could also equally loudly demand that the victims of mob lynchings, arbitrary bulldozing, and others who are victims of the BJP hate-mongering be protected as Indian citizens. The optics of 2 women soldiers presenting their findings is important, but optics must translate to reality on ground. Otherwise, it's just hypocrisy. And in his post, he wrote that, for me, the press conference was just a fleeting glimpse, an allusion perhaps, to an India that defied the logic on which Pakistan was built. As I said, the grassroots reality that common Muslims face is different from what the government tried to show. But at the same time, the press conference shows that an India united in its diversity is not completely dead as an idea.
Right, and we understand that after this, basically 2 FIRs were filed against him. Could you talk about who filed them and what are the charges against him now?
Okay, so these are 2 separate FIRs lodged on complaints received from the Haryana State Commission for Women Chairperson Renu Bhatia and Jhateri Village Sarpanch Yogesh Jhateri, who is also the General Secretary of BJP Yuva Morcha in the state.
And Mahmudabad, of course, is an associate professor, a political scholar. He's the head of the Department of Political Science at Ashoka. But he also has a political background, right? Can you tell us a bit about his political ties?
So, Mahmudabad was previously associated with the Samajwadi Party. He joined the party in around 2018 and he served as a spokesperson for the party from 2019 to 2022. It is also learned that he was a professor at Ashoka University from 2016. So our colleagues Asad Rahman and Vikas Pathak have reported on a story in the Indian Express, and according to that, his father also previously had a political stint and was a former 2-term Congress MLA from Mahmudabad, and he was a popular politician in the Awadh region of Uttar Pradesh.
And Vidheesha, could you talk about just the kind of reaction his arrest has now prompted? Because since the last 2 days, this story has made a lot of headlines.
So his arrest on Sunday was criticized by many opposition leaders from TMC to RJD and AIMIM. There has been an outrage in the academic community also. A lot of professors, students have condemned his arrest. Many of them described the police's move as deplorable and utterly condemnable. The opposition also referred to remarks made on May 12 by Madhya Pradesh Tribal Affairs Minister Vijay Shah that India taught a lesson to those responsible for Pahalgam terror attack using their own sister, in an indirect reference to Colonel Qureshi. This has been blowing up in Madhya Pradesh as well in the past. So when it comes to the academic community, we know that an email was circulated yesterday afternoon by the Committee for Academic Freedom to the faculty of Ashoka University, where they called the arrest disproportionate punishment made on flimsy grounds and a fundamental attack on academic freedom.
And after the Haryana State Commission for Women, they filed an FIR against him, we saw that over 1,000 academics signed a letter demanding that the commission retract the FIR and offer Mahmudabad an unconditional apology. Could you talk about what this letter said?
So the statement said that from a bare reading of his original post, it is clear that Professor Khan praised the strategic restraint of the armed forces, far from being misogynistic or anti-national. Professor Khan's posts are driven by a clear moral vision of what being a good citizen means. The statement also added that Mahmudabad's arrest was part of a wider climate of hostility towards public intellectuals and academics engaging in dissent or critique.
And Vidheesha, this is not the first time that someone from Ashoka University has found themselves at the center of a controversy. But have similar incidents taken place at the university before?
So, Ashoka has in the past also witnessed several controversies involving its faculties, and even in the past that has raised concerns about academic freedom. One thing which was very common in all these cases was that even this time, and even in the previous times when cases like this happened, Ashoka's reaction has always been just to distance itself away and call these personal comments of its faculty members, and that it has nothing to do with these comments. Coming to the previous instances of controversies involving its faculty, when we go back to 2021, a former Vice-Chancellor of Ashoka University, Pratabhanu Mehta, had resigned from his faculty position in March 2021. And in his letter, he stated that the university's founders had made it abundantly clear that his association with the institution was a political liability due to his critical views on the ruling party. His departure had led to many protests back then from students and faculty members, and over 150 academicians in the community stood in solidarity with him and issued many statements. Following Mehta's resignation in 2021, Arvind Subramanian, who's a former chief economic advisor to the government of India, who was a professor at Ashoka University, also resigned. He cited the circumstances surrounding Mehta's exit and expressed concerns that Ashoka could no longer provide a space for academic expression and freedom. So in 2023, this is the most recent case, an assistant professor in the economic department, Sabyasachi Das, had resigned after a controversy erupted over his research paper titled Democratic Backsliding in the World's Largest Democracy. So this paper was essentially pointing out to the polling trends and how the BJP had won the 2019 election, pointing out to some discrepancies in the voting process. Immediately, as soon as this controversy happened, the university just distanced itself from the paper and said that it had nothing to do with Das's opinions or views, which also eventually led to Das's resignation. Soon after Das resigned, in solidarity with Das, Professor Pulapre Balakrishnan also resigned from the economics department. He was the head of the department back then.
And next we shift our focus to Northeast, where a one-of-its-kind high-speed corridor has received a green signal. For decades, the Siliguri corridor, also called the Chicken's Neck, has served as India's lifeline to its northeastern states. But India is all set to rewire its strategic and logistical link to the northeast, bypassing Bangladesh entirely. In a major infrastructure push to improve regional connectivity and economic integration, the Government of India has approved a 167-kilometer 4-lane high-speed highway from Shillong to Silchar. This will be the first corridor of its kind in the northeast and a key part of a new supply route to and from Kolkata, which will be using sea links through Myanmar and the Bay of Bengal. To understand the importance of this tailored corridor and its broader implications, we speak to the Indian Express's Dheeraj Mishra. Dheeraj, for years the chicken's neck is what has been used for all logical purpose. But can you tell us why is it considered a strategic vulnerability for India?
So the problem with Siliguri corridor, which is also called chicken's neck, as you pointed out, it's a very narrow stretch, which is kind of only link of northeast to the rest of the country. Currently, all the trade, all the movement to the northeast, it happens only through the chicken's neck. So the whole stretch of land that we call a chicken's neck or Siliguri corridor, it is only 20 to 22 kilometers long. And if you will look at the map of India, it is squeezed between Bhutan on one side, Nepal on the other side, and Bangladesh on one more side. So the trade, it takes a lot of time. It is connected via NH6. But it takes a very long time to transport the goods from other part of the country to the northeast and vice versa. So it has been a challenge for India as well for a very long time because this whole northeast is kind of landlocked. We do not have any other access to enter northeast except Siliguri corridor. So for a very long time, India tried to negotiate with Bangladesh to kind of make them agree to allow India to transport goods via sea from the Bay of Bengal, and then India can enter in the northeast part of the country.
Right, and we understand that Bangladesh has repeatedly denied this request. So tell us, how did India then come up with this idea? And also, why now?
So you would be knowing that, recently the Bangladesh interim government's current chief advisor, Muhammad Yunus, he said this in China that Bangladesh is the only guardian of ocean of all this region because they have this very strong hold in the Bay of Bengal.
7 states of India, eastern part of India, called Seven Sisters. They are landlocked region of India. They have no way to reach out to the ocean. We are the only guardian of the ocean for all this region. So this opens up a huge possibility. So this could be an extension of the Chinese economy. Build things, produce things, market things, bring things to China, bring it out to the whole rest of the world. That's a production house for you. So that's the opportunity.
So because of this, India tried some alternate route for a very long time, and then they kind of figure it out, the entering northeast through Myanmar. So this was a project which was jointly identified by India and Myanmar, which connects Kolkata to the Sitwe port of Myanmar, and then it takes further to some stage via inland waterways, then via road from Kaletwa, and Zorinpui is the border of Mizoram, is a border of India with Myanmar, through which the goods will be transported to the northeast part of India. So to kind of ease the Siliguri corridor and find out other area of transportation, other ways of transportation and other link, India entered into an agreement with Myanmar to implement this Kaladan multimodal transit transport project, which is partially complete. It is yet to be fully operational, but the Sitwe port is operational.
Right, and Sitwe port, of course, being in Myanmar. But okay, so as part of this new supply route, there will be a 4-lane highway which will be coming up from Shillong to Silchar. So can you tell us how this will tie with the Kaladan transport project, which, has been in the work for years now? And as you said, it's only partially operational right now.
So the new road project, which recently Union Cabinet gave approval, which is from Siliguri to Silchar. If you will look at the map, it will act as an extension of this Kaladan multimodal transit transport project, because once the goods will reach by sea after covering 539 kilometers from Kolkata to Sitwe port, then it will reach to Kaletwa, and then Zorinpui, and the stop is Long Talai and then Aizawl. So after this whole stretch will be completed, if you look at the map, Silchar is kind of entry point for all these, from Mizoram, for Tripura, for Manipur as well. So this new high-speed corridor project, which has been recently approved by the cabinet, it will work as an extension of the Kaladan project, and also it will kind of felicitate the whole government of India's effort to have an alternate route in the northeast of the country by bypassing Bangladesh. So it is very strategically important project.
And Dheeraj, from an engineering point of view, this project seems kind of daunting. So can you tell us what are the major technical challenges of constructing this kind of high-speed highway, especially, through Meghalaya's hilly terrain?
Yeah, so this is going to be a very difficult, kind of very challenging task for the ministry. I mean, there is an agency called National Highway Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited, NHIDCL. This whole agency was incorporated with the aim of expansion and development of road network in northeast part of the country on behalf of Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. Now, this NHIDCL takes up some of the very strategic project like, Zedmore Tunnel. There are many projects which are on the border area, which is being implemented by NHIDCL. But Northeast especially is very much important for the NHIDCL because it is, agency's core task to develop the road. So, like you mentioned, it's going to be difficult because the terrain is very difficult. I mean, even the existing road, which is on this line from Siliguri to Silchar, it is National Highway 6. It is not in very good condition, and for a very long time the development could not happen because of the terrain, the hilly terrain. But now the officials, the ministry, the agency, they have all come together, and there is a body called National Institute of Rock Mechanics. They have probed in this particular institute to have a very detailed, very good study of the terrain. And the bigger challenge is going to have, because we keep on hearing about this landslide in the hilly areas, in the Himalayas, because Himalayas are a very kind of weak mountain. So because of its fragile condition of the Himalayas, landslides happen frequently, especially during the rainy season. So what the primary thing the agencies is going to do, to have this very detailed plan, very detailed infrastructure in place to first to kind of avoid the landslide, number one. Number two, to predict it so that, if there is any kind of movement happening on the upper stretches of the mountain, they will deploy some of the instruments, some of the sensors like piezometer, rain gauge, settlement gauge, insulometer. These are some of the equipments that will be deployed. And using these equipments, they will be able to know that, if any of the area is going to be affected because of the rainfall and that may lead to the landslide. So they would be able to stop the traffic, stop the movement of that particular area. So that is one of the top tasks that NHIDCL have identified, to put it in place, to implement it effectively while completing the construction.
Right. And Dheeraj, what kind of economic ripple effect is expected? Like once the corridor is operational, particularly for, states you had mentioned earlier, like Mizoram, Tripura, Manipur, and even Assam.
Yeah. So once it become operational, first thing is, National Highway will increase the movement of goods from northeast to the rest part of the country, from rest of the country to the northeast. Number one. Number two, it will help in the movement of the goods even within the 7 states of the northeast. Apart from this whole project is going to provide the connectivity to the different kind of things. Like, it will provide connectivity directly to the international borders. There are some of the tourist places. I'll just name some of the places like Lalong Park, Nartiang monoliths, Chachari ruins. These are some of the very known places in the northeast, especially the area this high-speed corridor will pass through, like Guwahati, Shillong, Jowai, Silchar, all of these. There are some religious places as well, like Narting Durga and Kachakanti temple. So it will connect these places. And it will also, like I talked about the goods, the movement of the freight movement. So there are coal mines in Meghalaya and cement plants. So again, it will benefit to these places as well.
And lastly, Dheeraj, do we know when this project will be fully operational?
So yeah, this is going to be challenging, one of the most challenging one. But agencies have kind of found the solution to implement and to complete the national highway and this high-speed corridor in a period of, it will take at least 5 years. So it will get completed by 2030. And out of the 166 kilometer of the stage 1, 44 kilometer is in Meghalaya and 22 kilometer is in Assam. And once it will get completed, currently it takes 8.5 hours, but after the completion of the high-speed corridor, it will take around 5 hours to complete the journey.
And in the end, we go over the details that the Indian Army has now revealed about the recent military confrontation between India and Pakistan. During a media briefing on Monday, the Army said that on the intervening night of 7th and 8th of May, Pakistan launched drones and long-range missiles targeting multiple locations in Punjab, including an attempt to strike the Golden Temple in Amritsar. The Indian Army stated that these actions were in retaliation to India's cross-border military operation, Operation Sindoor, which targeted 9 terrorist sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The Indian Express's Kamaldeep Singh Brar reported that during the briefing in Amritsar, Major General Kartik C. Sheshadri of the 15th Infantry Division confirmed that Golden Temple was among the intended targets.
Drones and long-range missiles were launched and fired from his own territory, which were his mainstay. Indian military installations, civilian population centers, including innocent ladies and children, were also not spared and were considered as legitimate targets by the Pakistan military. He has even targeted religious places specifically, a case in point being the Golden Temple located in Amritsar, which is internationally renowned and a place of faith for everybody. It saw a surfeit of...
Now, the Army had anticipated potential threats to both military and civilian sites, including religious places, and had deployed additional air defense systems to secure key locations. According to the Indian Army, all incoming drones and missiles were intercepted and destroyed using upgraded L-70 air defense guns and Akash missile systems. As part of the evidence, the Army displayed debris of various unmanned aerial vehicles, including kamikaze drones and Turkish-origin micro-drones such as Ichha-3 and Songar. Kamaldeep also reported that a soldier involved in the operation stated that only 10% of available air defense ammunition was used during the interception. He noted that it was after failing to damage military installations that Pakistani attacks shifted focus to civilian areas and religious sites. In a separate statement issued on the 14th of May, the Ministry of Defense detailed that Pakistan had attempted to strike several cities and military targets across northern and western India, but our defense systems were successfully able to neutralize all threats. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Shashank Bhargava and me, Ichha Sharma. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.